people, what's up? So let us start your first chapter, people, in the compliance management part. And I'm starting with lesson 1. So what is this chapter? What are the contents and all? We'll see. So now what is this compliance framework, or what is this compliance management? As we saw in the introduction only, people, I was telling you what do you mean by a compliance, or what do you mean by compliance management. Now let us take on an overview. I'm telling you, I'm not even going in detail as of now. Now whenever a company is incorporated, now whenever a company is registered, on a company there will be various laws that will be applicable. Agreed? Yes, sir. Now let us take for an example. Imagine there is a company called as Infosys. Now on Infosys, there are so many laws that are applicable. On the face of it, you guys only try and think. Now imagine a Infosys has to function in India. What and all are the various laws that will be applicable to Infosys? Try to take a guess like that only. What are the things you guys are thinking on? One, you guys know absolutely the first thing what you guys are telling. Which one? Companies Act. Okay. What else will be applicable? We know for a fact that Infosys is also a listed company. So what is the second law that will be automatically applicable? The next law will be, people, that is your SEBI related laws will be applicable. Infosys has a lot of branches, subsidiaries and all outside India. There will be foreign transactions that will be happening with Infosys and companies that are situated abroad. So the third immediate law that will be applicable to Infosys will be FEMA related laws. Like this, the list can go, people. These are all the laws applicable. Now you guys try to think, now what is the problem? The problem is, now imagine, because of any reason, okay, imagine if you guys are okay, you can take it this way. Imagine, people, you guys want to drive in India. You want to drive in India. Now whenever you guys are having a two-wheeler, it may so happen that, people, now for your own bike only, you might not be aware of when is the insurance ending, when did you do your emission test last. Forget about that. You at times it may so happen that you guys might miss on filling your own fuel on time. There are some instances, boys would agree, at least once in your life you would have pushed your bike to the nearby petrol bunk because you wouldn't have filled it on time. People, what I'm trying to tell you, when you do not know what is the status of your own bike, when did you last take your insurance, you do not know. Now you imagine, I'm talking about a company whose quarterly profits are around 5,000, 10,000 crores. Profits, I'm telling people, quarterly. Now you imagine, people, what if it's a Reliance? What if it's a Tata's? You see the turnover, you see the amount of transactions these people are doing. Now I'm telling you what is the size of the company. Now imagine there is a company called as Tata Motors. How many rules and regulations in India will be applicable on them? Who is making sure that the company is complying with all the rules? Can one person have everything in mind? Okay, then on this company, all these are the rules applicable. People, by now to manage one Companies Act only you need a person. Now imagine, I'm telling you, bare minimum on Tata Motors, at least, people, 40 to 50 regulations, acts, rules will be applicable. 40 to 50. Very bare minimum, I'm telling you. Now how will someone keep all of this in mind? Is it possible? Doesn't it happen that you might end up missing it out? Isn't it obvious? So people, to avoid that, what will a company do? The company will come up with a system. The company will come up with something called as a framework, like a boundary. Now what is this first chapter? The first chapter is about that. The first thing, the company will identify what and all are the obligations that are expected out of the company. Certain things can be internal because of the company. The company can have its own rules and regulations. You can have your own policies and procedures. That is, one is internal. The next one is external. That is expected out of you by the government. Now, for example, you take Tata Motors. Now, Tata Motors, because they are manufacturing units. Now, for them, Factories Act labor laws will be applicable. The biggest thing, labor laws will be applicable. Under labor laws only the list will go. But if you guys have done your setting up of business entities, you will know what are the amount of labor laws we have. Now the list and all will go, it will keep on going. So what is the guarantee that you are complying everything properly? Now I did not even come to finance, tax laws people, how many are there? So now who is making sure everything is being complied? Now what is, okay, first thing I am telling you that, okay, all these are applicable. Now second thing is that, sir, what if I do not follow these rules? What is it going to happen? Now you need to come up with what is the risk involved if you miss on doing all of this. The third thing, the everything, I'm just telling you on the overview of it. You need to make sure every now and then you're reporting to someone what is happening, what is the status. So all of this you should be able to cover on one particular company, and that's the reason we come up with something called as compliance framework. Framework means nothing but people a boundary. Within this people we are trying to cover everything so that nothing bad is going to happen to the company. So for that, what and all are the precautions you are going to take? Now that is what will come under compliance framework. Got a fair idea, na? Yes, sir. Obviously, whose responsibility it is to make sure whatever boundary I told you, whatever is a system, you can imagine like a system. Most of the companies now are coming up with softwares which covers all of this. Sir, whose responsibility it is to make sure the company's compliance framework is taken care? Whose responsibility it is? Who's that? Tell me. Obviously, then why do you have this chapter in your syllabus? Whose responsibility it is? Yes, people, you're saying company secretary. Yeah, directly it is not company secretary, people. The entire responsibility is first on the board. If a company fails, company secretary will just lose his job. But what about if a company fails? What is it for the board of director? With people, you can imagine the trust, the overall obligation, the overall responsibility is more on a director than on a company secretary. End of the day, the ultimate responsibility that the company is following everything properly lies on the board of directors, because you are the person who is a point of contact to the shareholders, to the government, to the stakeholders, to everyone. You are responsible. The company secretary is just responsible to the director, because the director cannot do everything on his own. The second level, basically the task will be delegated to the company secretary to make sure that all of this is in place. It is the responsibility of the director, but director does not do everything, right? Then when will he do the business? So that's when your company secretary will come into picture. Now company secretary will take care that yes, all of this is in place. But responsibility, ultimate responsibility is always on the director. Is clear? Pakka na? Hey, sure. For example, at times you guys can think, no, sir, what if we break laws? Sir, what and all laws are there, sir? All children laws only we have, no companies. Oh, that's all, no, sir. What bigger law is there for us? Now, can we bend those laws? Now, for example, I'll give you one example. A very interesting study, this one also. Why should we make sure that the company is aware of all the rules applicable? What if you do not abide by the rules properly? What if you do not comply the rules properly? What is going to happen? For that, people, I got you guys one case study, and that is only called as, people, the Volkswagen scandal. Now whatever is the Volkswagen scandal, people, now what happened with Volkswagen? uh, the scandal is also called as Dieselgate scandal. The various names are given to this. They also call it as defeat device scandal, Dieselgate scandal. There are various names given. But see, I'll tell you. Now, Volkswagen, they are car manufacturers in various, countries. Now, what happened? Volkswagen had a really big market in US, United States. According to the United States rules, whenever, you guys know what do you mean by emission test, right? Now, whenever now imagine, whenever a vehicle, if it is becoming older, if you do not do the service or if you do not do the maintenance properly, or if the bike or the car gets older and older, and if you have not maintained it properly, the vehicle starts emitting more of harmful substances into the air. It can be nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide. This emission will be more. To make sure that your emission is within the limit, every year you guys need to carry on something called as emission test. In the same way, every country, it prescribes that every vehicle you need to undergo a emission test. Now imagine, if at all your bike or car should be fit, there is, according to every country, there is one limit. So the emission, basically the pollution, that is, how do I tell you, the exhaust. What do you tell the boys will understand? Basically, I'm talking about that exhaust smoke pipe, whatever will be with the vehicle. So whatever is a smoke that is emitted, it has to be within the limit prescribed by the country. Got it? Obviously, if it's a new vehicle, it will be within the limit. Now, what happened, people? Volkswagen came up with a very beautiful car, a very beautiful engine. But the problem is, people, of course, this was a diesel related car. If this particular engine has to work, they know that their product will have a really bigger market in the entire world as well as in US. They know that they are going to penetrate the competitors because it was a beautiful car, beautiful model. But there was one drawback. Now, because this was a diesel driven model, the car's emission test, even I'm telling you, for a new car, was beyond the emission test limits prescribed by the US country. Now imagine, on a normal day, if at all, if the emission test, if it has to be within 40, the limit, the new car itself, people, was going beyond 40, way beyond 40. Somewhere around, it will come around 100 by default. Now the problem was, people, obviously, if it's a wear and tear, that is after 5 years, 10 years, then it is a consumer's responsibility. But on the new car, people, how can the emission test be more than what is prescribed in the country laws? What did Volkswagen do? They wanted badly to give a good competition to the competitor. So they badly wanted this model to be a hit. So what did they decide to do? They came up with a software. And the software only is called as this Dieselgate, or multiple names that are given to this particular software. So they call it as you can see Dieselgate, or you can say that it is called as a defeat device. So all these are the names given. So what did they do? They installed one software in that particular cars, all the cars. Around 11 million cars were sold worldwide, and in all these 11 million cars, they had installed this particular software. Now, what is this particular software, sir? Simple, people. Whenever you take your vehicle to this emission, that is, whenever you test it under the government rules, they came up with in such a way that the car will never show the emission limits beyond 40. It will always show within 40 whenever you are testing it in laboratory atmosphere. But if you really go and drive it outside, people, you can take it this way. Emission is always done like in lab, or in, basically I'm talking about in that atmosphere in near your petrol bunks. Basically, you do not give it very much rise and all. So if you are raising it up to one limit, it will show 40 only. It is within the limits only. But if you take it to the outside world, if you actually drive, people, it will go way beyond 100. So such type of software these people had installed in all these cars, basically the Volkswagen cars. Now what happened, people? One organization, when they were doing the test on this particular product, when they were seeing this particular product, they realized that the readings of this particular car in the lab environment and in the outside environment was much different. What it is coming under lab requirements and what is coming under outside things, are the readings are absolutely different. So they took it to the US government, and it came to the picture that it was clear. Initially, Volkswagen said no such device and all is installed in the car. How can we do it and all, they said. But later on, they went on to accept, and they accepted also, yes, we have installed a software which will show fake readings in the lab environment. Now, because of this, people, Volkswagen had to face a lot of penalties, lot of fine. You know how it feels like, right? Now, if you look at the consumer point of view, you lost your reputation. So that's the problem. Whenever you break the law, It will not only be the penalty, yes. You know how much overall Volkswagen, how much did it cost because of this scandal? Volkswagen people, it costed them around $30 billion. 30 ಅಷ್ಟೇನಾ ಸರ್? ದಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಸರ್, ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರೆ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್. ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಡ. ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ 1 billion is how much? 1 billion is people 100 crore. 1 billion is 100 crore. So 30 billion means how much people? 3000 crore. Rupees allada, dollar. Now you know how bigger amount it is. That is the amount Volkswagen had to suffer because of this entire scandal. Of course, in this $30 billion, it comprises everything. Meaning, penalty was around 11 or 12 billion dollar, and the government also they came up with what do you say? The order was passed in such a way that they passed an order to recall all the vehicles whichever were sold, and you need to pay them some cash back. I mean, you had to pay them a price. If you were able to correct it. So because of all of that, they lost a huge amount. Now, to recover from that, obviously it takes ages, right? And this was a case that happened in the year 2015. And not only that, people, you know who ended up resigning the job? The ultimate authority people, the CEO of the company had to resign because of all of this. And that was the effect of one scandal. And like this, do we have lesser number people? No. That's the reason you should always make sure. Now, all of this comes under compliance. So someone had to tell you, it has to be the company's motive, not only for the sake of complying with rules. You need to actually, that's the reason they say, no, you have to comply with the rules, act, law. Not only by the letter of it, you need to also comply it by the spirit of it. Letter of it, people, we said the emission has to be within 40. You have complied with the letter, but how? You did not comply with the spirit. That is not what the lawmaker wanted you guys to do. They did not want you to deceive them. They wanted you to literally follow the rule. Now see, all these things come under your particular. Now this is one example of your one automobile industry. See, I'm telling you what and all are the different types of rules that can be applicable. It need not be always. Don't think only from Companies Act point of view. It can be anything. One more biggest example you can see from Indian market. According to FSSAI, your Food and Safety Authority of India, according to that, what happened, people? Recently, one company came and you guys saw, no, sir, humko Maggi chahi hai. They know that don't eat Maggi, usme lead hai. Sir, no sir, lead is very tasty. Humko chahi hai. We want to eat and die. Sir, we will do anything for Maggi. Correct, huh? Yes, sir, when they were imposing, I hope you guys know, Maggi, because of that Food and Safety Authority thing, of course, penalty was imposed, and one order was also passed on Maggi. What is that? Whatever are the stock that is out. See, once a consumer is purchased, that's a different story. But there was so much stock outside, right? In so many malls, with so many retail traders, with so many, vendors, manufacturers, wholesalers, D-Mart, Reliance. How many people were selling Maggi? Maggi had to, Nestle basically had to call back the entire stock and they had to burn it. And this costed them around 450 crore rupees. Only stock I'm talking about. Yes, sir. So all this you guys need to know. So when I say rules are applicable, don't only think from SEBI ROC point of view. So as a compliance, now you guys know compliance framework I told you. Relating to this compliance, you have already studied something in your CS executive. One person will be there, it seems. Even his designation starts from, his or her designation starts from compliance. In capital markets, SLCM or capital market paper, you guys have already seen one officer. And this officer is called as compliance officer. So compliance framework, compliance management, compliance officer. Somewhere are you guys able to see what your role is like? That's what I told you when in the introduction chapter. What did I tell you? In this particular chapter or in this particular subject, you are going to see what exactly is the overall role you can expect out of company secretary, what he or she will be doing after clearing the CS professional. That's what will be there in this chapter. Got it? Again, as I told you, I'll be giving you this particular note, and this is called as, that's why I call this as dive deeper, meaning this is not there in your syllabus, but I know, to know all this, it's good. That's the reason I just gave it to you as a extra gyan. Yes, sir. Till today, I was making it part of your book only. Now I've just made it as a different note. Got a fair idea? So keeping all this in mind, just read this first paragraph. It'll make more sense. Compliance with laws. Compliance means people following. Laws and regulation must be an integral part of any corporate strategy. Meaning, a company should not only be thinking from earning more and more profits. Complying with the laws also should be your strategy. You guys should not only think about earning money, and that is only what we will discuss as directors. Complying with laws and all, who will care? No doubt, that should not be the approach, it seems. Even that should be your integral part. It should be part of your company. Okay. It is a responsibility of the directors, it seems, people of the company to recognize scope and implication of applicable laws and regulations of the company. It is you who should know. It is your responsibility as a director. Okay. See here, this is very good. This is directly made for Volkswagen. While framing and setting up the corporate strategy for achieving their target, Volkswagen, we wanted to become the #1 automobile manufacturer. You're setting up your strategy, you're setting up your target. They're telling you they must duly consider the compliance of applicable laws and regulations on the company. You guys are only thinking from your targets, achieving the targets. But how? Can you beat the law? Can you go and do non-compliance? If you guys do non-compliance, what is going to happen? You saw one example. Correct? Okay. The board of directors of the company need to establish the compliance framework. So the directors needs to establish something called as compliance framework. What is compliance framework and all? We'll see. I've got it for you. Yeah. So we'll be discussing only about compliance framework for the next half an hour or 1 hour. Yeah. We'll see what is that. Okay, so it serves as a supporting system of risk management system as it reduces risks associated with non-compliance. So what is the benefit of compliance framework? It reduces the amount or it reduces the frequency of non-compliances. It will make sure constantly you guys are following everything on time. How, why and all we'll see. However, to ensure an effective approach to compliance, the following steps are to be undertaken by the board of directors. So to ensure the effective approach to compliance, I'm telling you, every company will have a compliance framework, but is it effective? Is everyone following it properly? Sir, how to make an effective compliance framework? How to make sure everyone is following properly? They're telling you this is how you can do it, it seems. How? The participation of senior management in development and maintenance of a compliance program. Sir, involve all the senior management, call them and speak to them, make them participate. Everyone has to follow. Like that, you have to develop and maintain a compliance program. Everyone has to be willing to follow this particular rules. Next one, sir, once I have framed it and I've kept it, sir, and until I die, even that scheme will keep on going on. Can it happen, people? No. So today's generation, every day there will be constant change. That's what they're telling you. Review the effectiveness of compliant management system at periodic intervals. Meaning, every year, once in quarter, once in a year, check whether whatever are the compliance management rules, policies, procedures you have come up with, is it in line with today's change in law? Every year the laws will be changing. Is your system updated according to the change of law? So you have to keep on reviewing it. Okay. To ensure that it remains updated and relevant. So review it. If it is not updated, then you have to change it accordingly with the changing law as well as acts. Correct? For example, Companies Act 1956 was there. It became 2013. Make sure your system also changes accordingly. You have to update everything, right? Next one, development and maintenance of compliance program. What is compliance program, sir? Nothing but it is a system that you are building. You are making sure that everything is taken care. How? We'll see. That is what is your entire compliance framework. Reviewing the effectiveness of compliance system. Sir, I frame it. How it is working, I don't know. Whether it is helping you, I don't know. Whether if something is not happening properly, someone taking care of that, I don't know. That's what they're telling you, da. System has to be there, but it has to be effective also. Correct, huh? Meaning what, sir? You need to make sure it is implemented properly or not. Correct, huh? Next one, ensure its updation and relevance. That's what it is technically. It speaks about the same thing, whatever we saw. Meaning, once in a while, you need to make sure it is updated and it is relevant to today's date. Yes, okay. Effective corporate compliance framework enables the organization to achieve its objects and goals with compliance of applicable laws and regulations. So, effective corporate compliance framework, meaning if you have come up with a proper framework, it helps you to achieve your objects also. Volkswagen could have become a #1 company in automobiles along with complying with the applicable laws and regulations. Sir, because of this, it mitigates the risk. Mitigate the risk means people reduce the risk. People, all this will be again going in detail. Just a first para, that's all. Yes, sir. Associated with and making continuous improvements as required. So it reduces the risk. Whenever you require to make any amendments to it, updations, you will make it. Compliance framework is to be built into corporate system to avoid non-compliance, and the secretarial audit is carried out on periodical basis by an independent professional to check the effectiveness of the controls within the organization and report that how the organization is complying with the statutory requirement. Sir, internally we have come up with all this wonderful, beautiful system and all, sir. But what is a guarantee that everything is being implemented? So we will call a person from outside to come and check inside. That is what we are doing. So company secretary in company, he or she has done his best job. But whatever he or she is doing, is it fair? Is it right? Is it accurate? Is it sufficient? Who is checking? An external person will come and check. The external person only is called as secretarial auditor. Yesterday in introduction, I told you what is the role of secretarial auditor. The role is whether the company, whatever the applicable rules, internally you are doing it properly or not. That is what an external person will come and check. Correct? Yes, sir. Sir, corporate compliance management. Okay, corporates which ensure compliances are rewarded with positive public image and customer trust. What is that, sir? If everything is properly followed, people, then not only you're following with the rules properly, even in the longer term, people, the public also will have a positive image on the company. They will think that yes, this company is not breaching any conditions. You will have a positive impact on them. So if because of that, people, automatically it will reflect in their sales. Automatically it will reflect in their financials. What a fair idea, na? Yes, sir. Okay, na? Okay. Yes, people. So now when we are discussing so much about the chapter name only, compliance framework. Now, what do you mean by compliance framework? The compliance framework is defined and what and all comprises. I've tried to put it in a different heads so that you guys will understand the flow properly. Okay. Now, what do you mean by compliance framework? It is a set of guidelines designed to ensure that an organization adheres to the applicable laws. Try to understand this only. It is a set of guidelines. Guidelines means what, people? Principles. A set of rules. Okay, who is giving this set of rules, sir? Is it Modi? Is it who is giving it? Rahul Gandhi? Who is giving it? The external person won't come and give it. This is something which is done internally by you, for you, of you only. Meaning, sir, the principles are nothing but, people, the compliance framework is done by the internal person. Technically, it will be the responsibility, overall responsibility of a director. But end of the day, if I boil down, who will be working on this? This will be you guys only. It will be a company secretary's work only. Or as a whole, if I tell you, it will be legal department or secretarial department. These two departments in a company will take care of this. Getting the point? So they come up with the guideline. Sir, they come up with these rules. Sir, why are we coming up with this rule? Because the company should make sure you're complying, you're fulfilling, you're adhering to all the applicable laws. The applicable laws can be anything and everything. So we saw in that US case, Volkswagen, it can be anything. So you're coming up with a set of rules to make sure that the company is following all this properly. Yes, sir. So how do we do this? So you're telling, oh, yo, we'll come up with a set of rules. How is this set of rules even framed? How do you form it? When you're forming the set of rules, people, these 4 steps are kept in mind. This is how a compliance framework is set up. The process. How is it done? The 4 steps are there. The first one, people, is called as compliance identification. What do you mean by compliance identification? In compliance identification, people, a lot of aspects will be coming into picture. Meaning, now let us imagine the example of Tata Motors only. Now, for example, you are there as a company secretary, you sit in top. Now, in the company, people, there are so many departments. There can be HR department, there can be payroll department, there can be sales department, there can be manufacturing department. Like this, how many departments are there? If I tell company secretary alone, you only have to take care of every rule, you should only come up and tell me which and all laws are applicable to us. It might not be possible. So what do, people? We try to first identify all the applicable laws on the company by calling various people. We'll speak to various people. We'll talk to the heads of various people and we try to come up with a particular thing and we say, okay, these and all are the rules applicable on the company. This is what all our people said. One is you will do your research. In addition to that, we will try to come up with a list of rules, laws that are applicable on the company. That process only, that is the first step. That process is called as compliance identification. So see what is the content says. That it is a process of identifying various acts and legislations applicable to the company. It can be industry specific, it can be state specific. Obviously, if I have to tell you this way, you take Tata Motors only. For them, local laws are applicable. Wherever you are registered, that state will have, first of all, that city will have its own laws. Now, for example, imagine now I'm recording from Bangalore. Bangalore has its own laws. You have your own municipalities, you have your own development authorities, you have your own laws. Next one comes state laws. Next one come people central laws. The next one come, imagine Tata Motors. What imagine? Tata Motors are present all over, right? You have, what is that? Jaguar, you have that Range Rover, they are your subsidiary companies. So international laws are applicable to you. So you're seeing the number of lists, the list is going. So the first step only is identifying those laws that are applicable to the company. That's the first step in your compliance framework. So now I have a question, sir. What and all will the company do to identify what and all are the rules and acts that are applicable to us? Imagine, sir, today I pass CS. I become a company secretary of Tata Motors. You're telling that I need to identify which and all rules are applicable to you. People just close your eyes, da. You're made a company secretary of a company. You now tell me, hey, which Google will help you, da? Which and all rules are applicable to you. You know the people, India is a country of laws. For everything there is a law, da. Everything there is a law. How will you even first identify da, which rule is applicable to you? Hey, in book they are telling you it is director's responsibility. You try to think the 3-year, 4-year course you have done. And I'm telling you, you come up with a list. That only you're trying, is happening. Hey, how will a director know? Impossible only. So, for this also, they are giving you one help is there, it seems. If you do this, you will be able to identify. Now, what is that, sir? See, I'm trying to connect the points, people, so that you will have some something like a flow. If not, understanding will be little difficult. Yeah. Now, what is that flow? I'll tell you. See, the first one is identification of applicable laws and regulations. So, how do I identify? People, you can identify the source in all these ways. It seems you can take in all these helps. You can take all these helps and you can identify the rules and laws applicable. Now, what are the rules they have given? They are telling you. Engagement with management and other key staff and divisions. Sir, engagement, get them married. We will, sir, how will that help us? Engagement means go and speak to people. Engage with management means people go and speak to the senior management. Get to know where and all you're working, which and all countries you're working in. They will tell you you're present here, you're present here. Based on that, you will know, you will get a fair idea. Okay, this is how I need to do. And speak to people. Call all the function heads of various departments in your company. Call the manufacturing head. Call the sales head. You will know in their department what is happening instead of you going and breaking your head on the entire company as a whole. So first of all, you have just given us one pointer, but who gives the explanation? Explanation is not there in a syllabus. Ayyo. Now what to do? That's the reason, people, what I told you is dive deeper. I would have given you some information which will not be there in your syllabus, but if you just read it, you will not be able to understand this subject. If I have to just to tell you, because everything at the end of the day, if I go to the third, fourth chapter, you will understand. Forget about third, fourth. In the first chapter only, you will understand. Everything will sound similar. Ayo, that and this is same, no, sir. That's the reason I've tried to give examples and sufficient explanation wherever possible. Read this, understand that. See, engagement with management and other key staff, talking to the company leaders and important staff to understand the compliance needs. For instance, imagine a technology company in Bengaluru might consult its IT head. Because it's a technology company, I will call the IT head in my company and I will ask, what and all are we doing? So based on that, I will tell, okay, there is a bill called as personal data protection. Imagine I'm a bank. The bank takes your Aadhaar and PAN. On that, there is a law applicable. How should the bank treat your personal documents? Now that law is also applicable. Now overall, will you guys know, if I tell you what does a banking company do, the first thing that you have to say is, okay, RBI you have to follow. Will this even come to your mind? So that is how you will get an example. Okay, talk to people, you will get what to know. Second one, sir. By default, what and all are the various laws and regulations you think Indian government has imposed on you? Because you are, imagine, banking company. By default, RBI Act is applicable to you. If it's a listed company, SEBI Acts are applicable to you. Companies Act is applicable to you. So by default, all the laws and regulations are applicable to you. Okay. Third one, what else, sir? How do I do compliance identification? People, there are various permits and licenses, authorizations you need to get. For example, to carrying on the manufacturing, you need to get a license from the government. To carry on, now imagine, for example, if you want to start a food industry, now I am a company, okay, after becoming a company, is it sufficient or no? You need FSSAI license. That also you need to know. That's what they're telling you. Third one, that is also required in compliance identification. So compliance is not only about the law. You need to know all this, and that's how you frame it. Understood? Getting a fair idea, not at least. Okay, next one. Orders, rules, guidance issued by regulatory agencies. What do you mean with that, sir? People, by now you know. This is given by central government. This is given by central government. Laws are always made by government. But the lawmaker will not be able to make sure whether it is being implemented properly or not. So what do? We appoint the regulatory agencies. Example, sir, if I'm an insurance company, my regulator is there. Who is the insurance company's regulator? Irida, Tamil Irida, Allada. Yes, sir, this is Innondu Irida. Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, telecom industry, TRI is there, pension industry, PFRDA is there, banking industry, RBI, stock exchanges, SEBI. Sir, if they are coming up with any orders, you need to comply with that as well. Next one, judgments of the court, very important. Supreme Court says, going forward, you need to read this rule like this. That will be applicable to you. That also becomes like a law. If you guys have studied jurisprudence, even the court's decisions are also the source of law. It is important. Correct? Next one, treaties and conventions. Meaning what, people? Modi ji, whenever he is traveling all around the world, why do you think he is traveling? They'll be signing some documents. No, the documents entered between various countries. You call them as basically your agreements or called as treaties. If at all your country is signing up some treaty, even that will be applicable on you. Example, I'm giving you something called as Paris Agreement. In this Paris Agreement, people, all the countries came forward and they said, we are going to reduce basically this greenhouse gas emission, basically this carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, we are going to reduce that. So your country also signed it for reducing this. So if you are into manufacturing industry, imagine you're a factory. By default, your country has signed that treaty will be applicable on you. You have to fulfill that. Getting the point? Yes, sir. Next one, internal policies and procedures, voluntary principles or code of practice. What is this, sir? Internal policies, warranty principles. This is something which the company on its own have designed for themselves. We want to do this. For example, imagine some companies will have something called as ethical advertising. Meaning, some companies will not have that. Meaning, at times now, imagine in India what happens. There are some brands. Okay, there are some what do you say? Okay, there are some products people you're not supposed to advertise in India. Example of it is tobacco. Pufu pufu. Not supposed to advertise. Whenever we go to movie, advertisement will come. No, sir. Hey, that is stop cancer. You do not smoke, that comes. Technically, have you seen ever a cigarette ad coming in Indian any television or any channel or anywhere you watch? No. You're not supposed to advertise. Panala, what is that? Tobacco. What do you call that? I don't even know. People will keep it here, no? Something they call, no? I don't know what they call. From the tobacco, they do this and they keep here, no? Like this. I don't know. You only tell me. Comments, you tell me. What is that? I don't know the name of the product. I forgot. So if they keep here, no. You're not supposed to advertise that. But what do these companies do? These companies will come and say, people, take this. They are promoting some other product. You're not supposed to promote alcohol. But I believe you guys have seen this. Imagine, according to me, my knowledge, every alcoholic brand, they have their soda also. Not everyone, but most of them. So they come and they advertise their soda because they want you to at least remember the brand name. For example, you guys know biggest tagline, men will be men. Which company? See, like this it came, Imperial Blue. What is Imperial Blue doing? They advertise it as a music CDs. But music CDs is not their actual revenue. It is into alcoholic business. So few people would not want to do this. But few people will do it. Sir, so few companies will have something called as ethical advertisements. It is called voluntarily. You are doing it for yourself. Lord, I'm not telling this is voluntary. What I'm telling voluntary is this is according to the rule of law only. In India, you are not supposed to. But I'm telling you, imagine if a company says, no, we do not want to do this also. To promote one, we do not want to promote some other product. If that is something done, that is called as voluntary. Next one, people, commentary sourced from public domain. In public domains, few people will be giving their own, interpretations. Imagine till today I read it like this. But from today, there is a strong person who has given his interpretation on it. That will also become my source. Next one, membership of professional groups. For example, ICSI, I'll become a member to it. Now, there will be some sources that will be given. So that also will become source. Subscription to relevant information services. Meaning there are so many, bodies where you guys can go and register. You can subscribe. Monthly ones, they'll tell you what is happening. The best example is your chartered secretary only. No, it's a journal. Monthly ones, they are telling you what are the amendments happening in law around in corporate world. Subscription only, no. Next one, attending industry forums and seminars. Attend all this. You will know what is happening. Agreed? Monitoring regulators. Monitoring regulators means people nothing but now SEBI website is there. I hope you guys know. Companies Act website only. Once in a while come and open MCA website. You guys will know what is happening in the world. What is happening with regards to Companies Act. If there are any amendments, it will be displayed on the website only. No? Yes or no? Yes, see here. See? Simultaneously, every day there will be amendments. Now, how did I get to know that this was there? Now, where is the source? Source is nothing but your website only. The regulator's website. Go, keep up to date. You will know what is happening. That's what they are saying. Understood? What a fair idea, na? Yes, sir. This is what they're telling you is the what? Source for identification of compliance obligation. Meaning what, sir? On a company, what and all are the obligations? Not everything is rules, not everything are laws. Other things can also be there. Licenses can be there. Now, treaty is not a law. Now, court's judgment is not directly an act. So, everything which a company needs to follow is called as compliance obligation. Got a fair idea? Na? Compliance obligation means there are so many things expected out of you. So, what and all are expected out of you? Together we call this as compliance obligation. And how do we know what and all is expected out of us is called as source to it. And these and all are the sources. Clear? So after going through all of this, I will know, depending on the nature of business of the organization, it is required to comply with following laws and regulations. So which and all I need to comply? I need to comply with labor laws, like, you know, this minimum payment of wages, equality of remuneration, you know, all this maternity acts. So all this will come here. Fiscal and tax laws, GST, income tax, pollution and environment. If you are in manufacturing industry, security laws. If you are listed, commercial laws. What is the commercial laws? If you guys are doing CS professional now, that means you are coming from old syllabus. That means you had something called as EBCL. Economic, Business and Commercial Laws. Everything will come here. Sale of Goods Act, Indian Contract Act, Transfer of Property Act, everything will come there, including intellectual property rights, patent, trademark, copyrights. See, the list is still going on only, Noda. Next one, sir, industry specified laws, banking related laws, insurance related laws, corporate and economic laws, which we have seen. What is that? Corporate as your Companies Act and all that will come into picture. Economic is money related. FEMA will come into picture. EBCL, economic, business, commercial laws. Cyber laws, obviously. All other laws affecting the company concerned depending upon the type of industry or activity. Understood? Okay, sir. Based on that, I have identified my compliances. Next one is, sir, compliance ownership. What is this compliance ownership? Again, we'll be going in all in detail. People will be seeing what was given, but I'm just giving you on a face of it. Compliance ownership means, people, sir, we got to know, okay, all of this is expected out of you. You got to know food and safety. You got to know that there are this IP laws. You got to know Indian Contract Act is applicable to you. You got to know there are so many things applicable to you. Payroll you got to know. GST you got to know. Hey, do you think everything will be done by CS only, Ada? You're making sure they are following everything. But do you only go and work on all of it? Obviously, no, not possible. Now, when I said that we are going to teach CS professional or CS executive, is one teacher teaching all the subjects? Not possible. It's not that they cannot teach. Humanly, it is not possible for you to concentrate on everything, right? That's what they do. We have identified which and all laws we need to comply. Now what I will do, I will share my responsibilities with others. And that is how I do it, sir. How do I share my responsibility? For each department, I will give him an ownership. With regards to the tax laws, the AU accounting head, the responsibility is on you. With regards to this payroll, AHR, the responsibility is on you. I will not do everything, but after everything is done, I will just come and ask the head, is it done? That's all. You're not going and working on it, but to make sure it is there, you first identify the owners and you give the responsibility to those owners. And that is only called as compliance ownership. Generally, people, there will be two owners. One is called as primary owner. Next one is called as people secondary owner. Primary owner people will always come in the first level. He is always in the, this is the person who directly needs to take care of the implementation. So he is the actual person who is responsible to make sure that rule is complied, that act is complied, everything is done properly, compliance is properly done. He will make sure. Sir, whether this person is doing the compliance properly or not will be taken care by the secondary owner. One person supervises, one person does it. Every department we do this, and that's only called as compliance ownership. What is that? compliance ownership of various compliances has to be identified function wise. Tax or department, clear description of primary. Who is primary? Mainly responsible for the compliance. Secondary, generally the supervisor of the primary owner. Understood? Okay. Third one, sir. Sir, now first thing, as a CS, you are studying all this. Does a HR know the seriousness about it? Does any head, a manufacturing head, do they know about the seriousness of this loss? So people, what is even the, okay, what do you say? What is the use of having all this? I've made one framework, sir. I've designed a software. So everything is here. But what is the use if people in the organization do not know about what you have built? The third step, people, you need to call your people, you need to train them, you need to tell them that this is what is there. Because you need to make them aware, you need to tell them this is what it is expected out of you. That is only the third step, people. Compliance awareness. You can do it by conducting seminars, you can do it by conducting trainings, you can do it by conducting discussions. That is the third step, compliance awareness amongst the organization. The fourth one, sir, compliance reporting. Now, you have given this compliance ownership, all the heads are there, they will come and report it to you. You will go and report it to someone. End of the day, the reporting is what is required. Because to the grassroots, you cannot go. The people in the management, the first paragraph in the textbook only says the board of directors are responsible. Now imagine if I have to tell you the companies like Tata, Reliance and all, they are sitting somewhere 50, 60 hierarchy levels above the initial employee. How will Tata know what the employee in the ground level are doing? How will you know? You will know by reporting. So the functional heads will report it to the next authority will report to the next authority. Like that, ultimately it reaches to the final person who is ideally responsible for all of this. Understood? So status of compliances or non-compliances should be communicated to the concerned person. So concerned person is nothing but depending upon the industry, depending upon the department, you need to communicate it to the concerned person. This is done annually by compliance officer. So who will report, sir? Nothing but people, I will collect the details. I will show you how the compliance reporting is also done. I will collect all the details, people. I will compile it. I will report it to the board. Ultimately, the board under their signature, they will say, yes, the company has complied with everything. That's how the entire thing is done. Is clear? Pakana? Sure? Yes. So this is how the process is done. So do one thing. Now what I'm going to do, people, so I'll be recording like this topics. Before you go to the next video, immediately like this only, try to revise the entire thing once and then watch the next video. So set short targets for you, complete it and then go to the next video. So try to do that, people, so that even everything seems achievable. Yes, all of you. So read and then come to the next video. Yes, people.